Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley released an FBI document containing allegations that then Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter pressured a Ukrainian businessman to pay them millions in exchange for their getting a Ukrainian prosecutor fired. The FBI previously allowed House Oversight Committee members to view this document privately, but refused to release it publicly, prompting Senator Grassley to release it himself. Where could this growing body of evidence against the president lead? Joining me now to discuss this and help us connect all the dots with the information that's popping up is Senator Chuck Grassley. He serves on 5 Senate committees, including the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he's the ranking member. He represents the state of Iowa. Senator Grassley, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Tony. It's been a long time since I've been with you, and I enjoy my conversation with you.
Well, I appreciate you taking time to join us. I know you've been busy. The FBI refused to release this document, which contained information from a confidential informant, which caused the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer to consider a contempt of Congress inquiry for FBI Director Christopher Wray. Now, why did you find it so important to release this document publicly, and why didn't the FBI do it themselves?
Well, it's unclassified, and about the time that they were going to find Wray in contempt, Wray decided to give the document to the House Oversight Committee, but it was heavily redacted. And one of the sentences that Comer and I had read in an unredacted version that we were able to read because of patriotic people that we call whistleblowers in DOJ and FBI, they gave it to us and we read it. And so then when I found out that there was a couple sentences among a lot of other redacted provisions of the bill, of the document, was something that referred to 17 phone calls, 2 of them between Vice President Biden and Ukraine national, and then 15 telephone calls between that same Ukraine national and Hunter Biden. And so why would they keep that from the House Oversight Committee? So I worked to get this document released because it's unclassified. And the people ought to know, if you want to read it, Tony, you can read it. 330 million people could have access to it if they wanted to. And that's just the way the public's business ought to be public. And so what this really raises for me, the question, it doesn't, I don't deal specifically with the guilt or lack of guilt of a Hunter Biden or a Joe Biden, but I have a job to make sure that the FBI does its job. And so I want to know why they redacted those 2 provisions. Was it part of the political bias that they've shown in so many other investigations? More or less 2 forms of justice, and we ought to have equal justice under our Constitution. And that's what it requires. And so why did they redact that? I think it's evidence of protecting the Bidens.
So have you gotten an answer?
FBI, I want to know what follow-up to this document. Now, this is 2023. This document is dated June of 2020. So what have they done in the last 3 years with this document? I think I have a right to know, as a member of the Judiciary Committee, are they doing their job?
I absolutely think you're right. So I have a question. Have they given you any answers? Why did they take those 2 sentences out? What was the justification?
But Comer and I are going to follow up with as many people as we can that know more about this, because if the FBI isn't going to investigate it, or if they have investigated and they aren't going to tell us, we need to know what they know. And so we're going to have some transcribed interviews with other people that know. We've got to get to the bottom of this. Now, Congress can't prosecute, but Congress can investigate. We can make public everything we know, and we ought to do that.
Well, our system.
Sure the FBI knows that we are overlooking, or as we say in the Congress, we're doing our oversight work
Right.
to make sure that they're doing the job right.
In our system of government, Congress has oversight of the executive branch. You don't set the you can't, you have the purse strings and you have oversight. This would only make sense that you can ask these questions. Now, I know in the Senate you're in the minority, and so the Democrats want to provide cover for the Biden administration. But in the House, the Republicans should get answers to their questions because they're asking these questions.
Well, of course, and I think they're going to. They have subpoena power that we as Republicans in the Senate in the minority, we don't have. And I'm going to, and I don't need to encourage Comer.
Right.
He's going to get to the bottom of it, I'm certain.
So, I mean, there's more smoking guns now than there were at OK Corral. So help us connect. We just got a couple minutes left. Connect this document, the allegations of these phone calls, the cover up here with the FBI apparent, and the IRS whistleblowers over in the House. Are all these connected?
They're a little bit connected with U.S. Attorney Weiss. That was he's in Delaware. He was the person in charge of the Hunter investigations. They come together a little bit at that point, but I consider them as separate issues in all reality. But they do point to what we're concerned about, the enrichment of the Biden family that's possible, the millions of dollars that they've gotten from people in China, Kazakhstan, let's see, Romania, maybe even from the mayor's wife in Moscow. I don't know how many of these that there's out there, but they add up to millions of dollars, and it's difficult to track because they have so many LLCs.
Right.
That they put this in the separate accounts, and so it's difficult to track
Right.
it. But I think Comer's got the authority to do that.
Well, it would look like, since they are separate, there's a pattern that we see that's widespread, which again would suggest there's something here. Senator, we're out of time. Always great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.